Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to the English coverage of the Dota 2 Professional League group stages. This is going to be game number one of a best of two between Vici and EHOME. Definitely two of the top teams in China right now. Very excited to see what goes down here. I'm going to be your hype caster for the day, Annie, aka Android, and I have a very special guest. I am being joined by the one and only Lumi. How's it going, man?
I am doing great. Although, actually, I'm doing okay. I was doing great, and then I finished the Game of Thrones episode, so now I have nothing to watch, and I'm feeling a little depressed. So I
Oh
have to
man,
wait till Sunday.
it's alright, we'll get you some good Dota to watch. Definitely not going to be a shortage of that here. We've got Avenge Tide going on for Vici, so they're kind of going this safe, controlled, lots of stun, lots of lockdown. And then Slardar Titan for eHome. We saw eHome play a fantastic Elder Titan 2 games in a row. The first series tonight, they played against FTDA and won both games. Do you think the Titan's just an unstoppable machine at this point?
I think he's very good, and he's especially a lot better when you combine it with certain heroes, especially the Slaughter. So now it gives them kind of two ways to initiate, and it's really, really hard to play around both. A lot of times you could play around one of them. Like, Slaughter has a Blink Dagger, so you position yourself in a different way. With that said, though, Vici Gaming does have one of the best heroes to deal with it, which is the TIE Hunter. He's a hero that you can't really chain stun and lockdown, which is generally how Slaughter and Elder Titan combo together. So if the Kraken Shell procs during that combo, TIE Hunter will just jam that Ravage button, and suddenly it's the one that it's eHome that's the one that's in a little bit of a hard position as they're jumping in with that Slaughter. So until Slaughter gets that BKB, if he gets a BKB, I imagine the team fight should be fairly even. I think the stronger indication of how this game will go is the laning stage. Elder Titan, like you said, a very strong hero, provided he gets the farm in levels, which I'm not sure whether he will.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be kind of a toss-up here. Who do you think is best to put against the Tide Hunter? It looks like it's gonna be the Juggernaut here. So do you think the Juggernaut against the Tide Hunter is a solid matchup, or would you rather have seen someone ranged or a little more aggressive?
Well, we don't really know who's the off lane, mid, safe lane, because when I just saw the Elder Titan Slaughter, I imagined the Slaughter was the safe lane. And he still can be, because there is a trend started in, I think, Southeast Asia that Juggernaut goes mid,
Yeah.
and then you have the Slaughter carry, and then Elder Titan in the off lane. Slaughter could be played as a support as well, so with this Juggernaut pick, it kind of throws a big question mark, at least to me, like how the laning stage is going to go. Obviously, none of the heroes really work too well against TIE Hunter as their melee. I think Juggernaut's probably the best, considering that he could kind of spin and go for kills. But yeah, I'm not really sure how the laning stage is going to shape up.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a mid Juggernaut. We saw Ehome run it twice earlier on. I'm surprised I forgot that. Whoops, it's been a long day. Fifth game of the night, so we'll see how dumb I get, what kind of stupid calls I make. So Vici, they pick up a Dazzle here, very very cautious. Now having that Tide Hunter and the Dazzle and the Venge, lots of support here, lots of synergy. What did Vici pick up as their mid and their core?
I think something that could take advantage of the minus armor synergy they have going is pretty nice. Shadowfiend jumps to my mind. Something like a Sven would have been too bad as well. They're gonna go with a Storm Spirit, which
Oh,
I mean, it's great against a Crystal Maiden. But apart from that, I don't really see a reason for the Storm pick. You don't have a lot of easy to pick off heroes. I guess Juggernaut, if you could jump in with the Orchid, you could pick him up. But Juggernaut could easily get the Mantisal. And here comes a Lycanthrope, so he will definitely take advantage of the minus armor. They get the Roshan capability as well now that you have the Venge and of course the Lycan. Their laning stage now gets a lot stronger as well. That's something that I think a lot of people underestimate about Lycan is, I mean, Dazzle and Venge don't hit pretty hard, but they will hit really hard with how in effect. So the other thing about Storm is that it's going to have a great matchup in the mid lane going against one of these melee cores. So that's possibly another reason why they pick it up. He's a fairly greedy hero, and normally you can't get away with him in the laning stage, but in this matchup you definitely can.
yeah, I just want to point out, I love the synergy between the Crystal Maiden and the Juggernaut. They have so much early kill potential. Go in with the Frostbite, lock someone down, bring in the Juggernaut, and just slam them out. So if it is going to be a mid Juggernaut, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Crystal Maiden kind of hanging around mid as a soft kind of roamer support. But we'll see if they want to pick up another really greedy core here to put in the safe lane, or if this is going to be an offlane Slardar. There's lots of flexibility with eHome's draft so far.
Yeah, Crystal Maiden can even jungle if they want to get really, really greedy with that. But like you said, Juggernaut and Crystal Maiden is kind of like the old school pair, like one of the most old school pair, starting in Dota 1. And I think she could roam mid pre-6 to get a kill, and that's going to be up to Dazzle and Venge to kind of protect the Storm. But apart from that, I imagine Storm's going to have a grand old time. EHOME need to pick up some counter push, because right now they're looking at Spirit from Elder Titan and maybe a Nova from Crystal Maiden, which did get buff, the cast range. Or was it the AoE? Yeah, one of the two. But it's not enough to stop the Lycan pushes, so I'm thinking some range support that has an AoE. Keeper of the Light, Lina.
Man, I would love a coddle here, but we're gonna see a Sven, so they are gonna go more of that greedy build. I mean, he does have some decent wave clear. He is able to go through and take care of himself, and he does have a lot of kill potential, so if he wants to duo with the Crystal Maiden, they can go in and get some nice easy kills on the Tidehunter even. Hopefully the Kraken Shell won't be too much of a problem. So EHOME, they're going greedy, they're going big, they're going all in. We'll see if Vici can stand up to that.
Yeah, so one of the possibilities I didn't discuss is the fact that Elder Titan can be played as a support as well, and Lanham is going to be using that. The support Elder Titan is generally very good when the enemy team wants to rush you down. In the past, I've seen it done extremely well against something like a Lich Doom dual off lane, which sounds ridiculous, right? Lich Doom generally just like wins the lane, walks over you, but Elder Titan, when he's channeling that clap, there's not much kind of diving lineup could do against that. With that said, though, Vici Gaming isn't running that kind of lineup, so Elder Titan very dependent on the levels, very dependent on a goal, and running him as a 4-position support, I'm not sure whether he'll get away with it.
Well, we will see here as we load on in. Immediate smoke from the base. EHOME like to do that, I guess, just, you know, movement speed, it's always fun. Just in terms of draft favorites here, who do you gotta give the edge to?
I like Vici Gaming's lineup a bit more. They're kind of like one-dimensional in the sense that they're really predicated on getting those pushes in, getting the Roshan, but they're not as greedy as EHOME. I feel like EHOME's lineup is a far bit more greedy than I like. With that said, though, if the first 10 minutes goes well for EHOME, then they're looking pretty hot in the mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much weight on EHOME's laning phase. It's really going to depend. Can they get the Elder Titan rotating around? Can they get the Sven a decent chunk of farm? Can they get the Juggernaut a safe lane? And we are going to have Ice very aggressively postured up here as the Slaughter, holding onto that skill point, so hasn't opted to go for Slither or Crush or whatever it is. And well, now mid, there's going to be a bit of a group up of Dire Heroes, so no blood being shed just yet, but this Slardar is setting up for one heck of a rune push.
Maybe he wants to sprint down and get that bounty rune. Let's see if he'll have that success. Burning, just kind of running by. It's still odd to me when I see Burning playing support, and he has been for a while for Vici Gaming, but
the battle begins.
Looks like Ice won't be able to do anything here.
Alright, Juggernaut is able to secure the rune down bottom. Tidehunter wanted to go in and be a bit cheeky, but no luck for ROTK just yet. Now, Tidehunter starting out with 8 tangos and a salve, anticipating taking a ton of damage. Is this going to be a Tidehunter that skips Iron Talon altogether, or will he pick it up eventually?
I think if he has a very tough time in the laning stage, he might need to pick it up to kind of jungle a little bit faster. Given the fact that he's up against Crystal Maiden and Sven, I think Kraken Shell should be able to protect him enough. So to answer your question, probably not. Given that his laning stage should go well. Top lane looks like Burning is gonna do a little bit of harass here against Ice. Does have the full creep wave helping out. Nice little bit of body blocking. Try to do as much damage as possible. We do see a lot of off lanes do this. Kind of just drag the wave, you know, back to that T1. Although second magic missile might come in if he wants a clarity for it. Oh, nicely done here by Burning. Sneaky just eating through it. Now suddenly Burning's the one. That's like, hey, thanks for the pull, man. I'm gonna farm and get some experience now. Wow, that's... I mean, I said he was a carry player, and he knows how to farm more, I guess.
Yeah, and he did, at the very end, just get enough mana for the magic missile, but was slightly out of range, so couldn't reinitiate there, but absolutely a nice play there. Nullifying that wave pull, just goes through. We'll get some nice XP from these neutral camps, and forces Ice to sit back, tango up, and really suffer from not having that wave.
Yeah, it's not... I mean, him getting the experience is nice, but I think the bigger win is the fact that Ice is not getting anything, because he made that pull, he essentially used to Crush, banking on the fact that, hey, I'm going to get something in return, but now he's getting nothing. Again, I want to go back to the draft, is that EHOME has a fairly greedy lineup, and so far they're not really getting away with anything. Olanum is, you know, doing what he can on the bottom. He's pulling Crystal Maiden. Again, technically could jungle, but if he's jungling, then the Tidehunter gets to walk all over this bottom lane. I feel like EHOME's draft is at least for now 1 minute into the game not working well.
1 minute in. Hopefully, there's time to turn that around here, EHOME. They had a rocky start in game number 2 of the first series that they played, but they did end up pulling it home with like a 40k net worth lead in the end. So we'll see if they're able to do that again. But I mean, we've got the Storm Spirit going up against a Juggernaut. Now, how does that matchup usually go?
CTY basically will just use Remnant to kind of farm and harass. He needs to stay somewhat careful because Juggernaut does have kill potential onto the Storm. I mean, if you get a little bit too close, a spin and kind of just run you down. But CTY, very experienced mid lane player, should understand that. And as long as he's playing safe, he's going to be fine. And once he gets level 6, all he needs to worry about is his own farm. He's never going to die in that lane.
Yeah, I mean, does he have serious kill potential onto the Juggernaut, or can the Juggernaut just spin and book it?
Without 6, CTY will have absolutely no kill potential if, O-Chicken doesn't hang around with no HP. Once he gets 6, still probably not, because you could just spin away from most things. So it's pretty much a farm-oriented lane.
Oh, down bottom, Tidehunter grabbed himself a double damage rune, going to be whacking onto Old Lanham just a little bit. Definitely enjoying that. Over here in the mid lane, we are going to have a spin onto CTY. CTY only level 3, no ball lightning to be had. Now there is going to be a wraparound on the back lines. Bring the Vengeful Spirit. There's going to be a missile at the ready. The clarity comes through, but going to leave Juggernaut alone. He is going to go back on through this side path. Meanwhile, down bottom, the double damage Tidehunter enjoying this farm immensely.
Alright, so we are seeing that Crystal Maiden rotation coming in only level 2 and not having the Frostbite, so it's a good time to come in, considering that you just saw the Venge come in and she's probably gone at that point. So Crystal Maiden maybe could get close enough for the Nova, probably not. I think a better time to come to make this gank is 4 minutes in and use that Nightfall to advantage, but here comes a clap to initiate things up. Crystal Maiden walking close, there's a Nova on the spin, should be able to get the kill. And no Fear Fire to back him up. Maybe Old Chicken will die. Probably not. Okay, looks like he'll be fine. So, well done here, initiating with the clap.
Absolutely. Nice rotation back down. They bring in a lot of heroes for that Ice wrapping around in case that wasn't enough. Meanwhile, up top, we do have a Lycan who's farming up very well. 21 last hits. Compare that to the Sven's 12. How much longer can they leave Sylar to farm up?
I don't think they really have a choice. You could probably send like a 3 or 4 man rotation up top to get a gank, but you need like level 6 on Juggernaut to make that happen. So it's definitely not good that the Lycan's farming, but I don't think they could stop it. So I think the best thing EHOME could do right now is to focus on their own farm, make sure that fan is getting ridiculously huge, and try to fight them in the mid game. Of course, Crystal Maiden can continue to apply pressure on the bottom and mid lane. So Lycan to me is a lost cause in the sense that you're not stopping him.
Mid lane, everyone's sitting kind of low. It's going to be who brings in the big supports first. Juggernaut's healing ward does expire. He's fresh out of regen. No charges in the magic wand. You've got CTY sitting here. No bottle for him just yet. So we'll see if this is just going to be a stalemate out or if someone wants to go for kills.
Interestingly, CTY has a Windlace on him. I haven't watched CTY play Storm or Storm play in general lately, so I don't know if that's an indication that Yules is coming down the line or he just won a little bit of extra movement speed.
Oh, they bring in the Crystal Maiden here. She's going to go through. She gets the Frostbite. There's going to be a TP in. The Stomp from the Elder Titan doing a lot of work. CTY doesn't have the 6. He's going to be going on through. The Grave is not going to be in time. He doesn't have it skilled up. He's only level 2. So the Dazzle has to sit there and watch his mid die. Now his own life could be in trouble as the Elder Titan has the capability to go in and push pretty deeply. Like HYM is going to go ahead, pick up some little clarity there, but Old Chicken definitely exerting his power onto this mid lane.
Yeah. Maybe the Windlace was picked up, try to kind of escape from that gank combo, but second time in a row here, Lanham as well as Finrar making things happen. And again, I want to point out that the early game for EHOME is supposedly weak, but after those 2 ganks, they're looking pretty hot now. So maybe they are going to be okay in this mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. You called it 1 minute in that EHOME was having some trouble, but it seems like they're bringing it home. The Sven down bottom having a little bit of trouble escaping from this Tide's harass, but still getting some decent farm. Not quite keeping pace with the Lycan, who's just completely on a roll. I mean, this Lycan is going to get huge. At this point, he's going to be most of the way towards the Vlad's, and I assume he's just going to go straight Necros after that.
I mean, a lot of Sven's farm doesn't really come in the lane. It comes from the stack as well as jungling. So you do see Ancient Stack is not happening just yet. He does not have the Helm of Dominator. Mostly thanks to the fact that Tidehunter is kind of really giving it to him. Crystal Maiden not being in the lane most of the time doesn't help either because Crystal Maiden needs to help mid. So this Tidehunter is really a thorn on the side, and two supports for EHOME. Kind of hanging around, trying to set up a kill, but again, level 3 Kraken Shell, it's really hard to shoot through.
Yeah, I mean, they might just have the raw damage, but looks like they're just going to leave Sven to go ahead and farm. They want to go in for something here. They do have the level 1 Stormhammer if they want to get the party going, but looks like they might focus mid lane as there's going to be the Dazzle sticking around holding tight to CTY. Oh, this is it. ROTK getting wrapped around from the river. They go in, they pop the God Strength. They go in with the Stormhammer as well. There's going to be a Stomp to hold them in place. That Stunlock Tide really can't do much. The Kraken Shell
Nice.
doing a lot of work, but Sven does end up getting the kill. That was a fantastic play by EHOME. It took a big chunk of their effort, but in the end they get down that big ol' walking watermelon.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. What they basically did is lay on one round of spells that proc the Kraken Shell, and then follow up with the second round, which is the Frostbite as well as the Clap. And Kraken Shell does have a cooldown, so you can't proc it back to back to back. So Tidehunter did go down to the immense right click of the Sven. That's not really enough to slow down the Tidehunter though. He's kind of expected to die once on the bottom lane. Now that he's so close to level 6, I don't think he's gonna die a second time. And he's well onto his way to Arcane Boots or Buckler, whatever he wants. So I think Tidehunter is still doing okay. I'm more worried for the Storm, because Storm is one of those heroes that, especially in a game where you don't have a lot of free pickoff targets, what is your mid-game plan, right? He needs a ton of farm to be effective as a hero.
Speaking of farm, we've got Old Chicken coming up here, still in this juicy stack. He's got his
Jeez.
healing ward at the ready. That is a lot of gold going his way. Now there is going to be Burning going back on through. They pop the Shapeshift. Sylar wants this kill. The healing ward will expire at some point. They munch it right on down. Going to be going through. They bring in the Storm as well. It looks like Old Chicken can't get himself out of this. No Omni at the ready. No spin. One more right click. Will get CTY his first kill. So nice rotation in from the Storm, but it still does cost him a lot of farm. Meanwhile, down bottom there's a Warcry as Fan just wants to get this farm and doesn't want to deal with ROTK, who does have the Ravage, but has no support.
Yeah, I really like Vichy Gaming's play. They got the one kill up top, and they immediately smoke just running bottom. They recognize the fact that Tidehunter does have level 6 on Ravage. So, no, they're thinking about going mid now. Here comes old Lanham. He's going to get stunned up. CTY zips in, and they should be able to get the kill. The Clap trying to come out through, but CTY, in a span of basically 60 seconds, picks up 2 kills. And I said I am worried about his farm no longer, because he is kind of ramping it up. And it looks like he is going to get that Soul Ring. So, for now, again, I'm very curious what that Windlace is building into, or is it just a casual one? It seems like it's just a casual one for now.
Now, Storm opting to skip bottle completely, that's weird, right?
That is pretty weird, yeah. Maybe he doesn't have a high degree of confidence early on, kind of going for the bottle, considering that Crystal Maiden, early on at least, will fight for the runes pretty hard. So, yeah, it is somewhat weird.
Yeah, I mean, you just always want that extra bit of mana. He does have that Soul Ring, or did have that Soul Ring at his disposal. There he goes. It's ready to be flown into him. So he'll have at least some extra bit of juice, but not having those bottle sips is really going to cost him, I feel. But maybe he's able to go for a nice early item that way and get himself mana that way. Now, we do have Lanham sitting here under his tower. There was an Invis Venge causing him a bit of trouble, but as that rune wears thin, she has to go back through the jungle and, well, mid. We'll see if there's going to be a kill here as Old Chicken continuing the farm fest.
Did you see if the Dire actually warded the Radiant Ancient? Because that's generally a fairly common thing to do. In fact, expected to do.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think they did, and I was thinking maybe EHOME dewarded it, but there should be a sentry there, right? If the deward did happen. So, yeah, kind of weird to see Vichy Gaming kind of dropping the ball there. Like I said earlier, that's how Sven really gets the majority of his farm in the mid game, and well, he's kind of getting away with it.
Yeah, Sven is going to go ahead and fly himself in the makings of an armlet, and that's going to help him out a lot. Now, what build would Sven go next? Does he go for like a Blink to get that mobility? Does he go for an Assault Cuirass to be this big, beefy frontliner? What does he really need the most to be the most effective?
I think considering that you have a Slaughter as well as Elder Titan, the initiation aspect
Oh,
is not...
ROTK! Gonna get punished here for trying to farm Ancients. They will go through onto Burning. Burning casts out the missile onto the Crystal Maiden, but it's not gonna be enough. Vengeful Spirit gets killed by the neutral creep, so at least there's some denying going on, but this stack is now heavily contested. They bring in the Sven, who should be able to take it, goes in with the God Strength, and I don't think there's much Tidehunter can do. He does have that Ravage. There is going to be the Shapeshift here on the Lycan as well. They're looking for something. There's going to be the Warcry to give them that extra bit of movement speed, and this might be the end of the fight. They're going to go through. They're going to deward. Now the God Strength and the Sven will be about half duration. ROTK really, really wants these big old Ancients. Can he get them?
Looks like not. EHOME recognizing that Shapeshift is down for now, so they could fight. Actually, the Stormhammer's going to come in. It's going to focus on CTY. CTY will be able to zip out here. RTK does have Ravage. Might actually have to use it, but no, there's really no backup. They're now focusing on the Sven. Here comes the Omni Slash, not really hitting too much of anything. Sven will drop, and so will the Tidehunter. The Sven doing a ton of damage here. Burning will juke away from his friend and will basically sacrifice. So big mid-game team fight here, picking off a couple of kills and more importantly getting the stack as well. So not only are they going to get their own stack, they steal away the enemy stack, and actually the Wolf is going to get at least one of the kills. But I really like the way that they're using this Elder Titan. I mean, early on, Elder Titan, what he gives to the team is essentially Ravages for a very low cost. You know, he's able to give it to you at level 4. I keep saying that he needs a ton of levels, but I guess I personally really underestimated this hero. It seems like his impact is extremely high despite being level 3 and 4 for the majority of those fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting what he wants. The bad thing for EHOME about that fight was that Sven wasn't there to get the Ancients. He wasn't the one to get the XP, to get the gold. I mean, he picked off a couple of small Thunder Hides, but he didn't get the big juicy part of the stack, so he is going to be just a little bit lacking in terms of gold, but at least he's got his own stack to worry about. Now, there is going to be the Ravage down for another 82 seconds. If EHOME wants to push their advantage, they gotta go now.
Yeah, there's a theory between the kind of like the carry players of China, which goes something like, it doesn't matter that you don't really get great last hits as long as the enemy carry doesn't get great last hits. So in that scenario that you just pointed about in the ancient spot, it doesn't matter that Sven didn't really get a lot of the last hits. It's just you make sure Lycan doesn't get his stack, and you're pretty happy with that end result because you still have your own stack going for you. So I still say that despite Sven not getting the majority of those ancients, EHOME's still extremely happy. Granted, they also get like what 3-4 kills out of that exchange as well. So Juggernaut, maybe he's gonna work on the little bit ancient stack. No, it looks like he won't be able to clear it out without the Battle Fury, so he'll leave it for the Sven instead. And speaking for the Sven, I'm also curious in terms of what he's gonna go for. I was mentioning that Blink Dagger is not as necessary because you have Slaughter as well as Elder Titan to initiate for you. With that said though, for a sleeper hero like the Storm, Blink Dagger gives you that killing power that the team somewhat lacks right now until the Slaughter Blink comes on.
We've got ROTK, only about 10 seconds cooldown left on that Ravage, so we might try to wait this one out. Fan does have that God Strength at the ready, so this could be another big engage coming up. Meanwhile, up top, we've got Ice being so sneaky here, has found his level 8. He was actually leveling quite well. He almost has enough for the Blink Dagger as well, so Slaughter's been kind of under the radar here, but not for much longer.
Yeah. I mean, when the Slaughter gets the Blink Dagger before the Tidehunter gets his mech finish, that's generally a timing window that EHOME could take. Speaking of timing window, maybe they're going to go on RTK on the bottom. The clap does hit, but no creep way to support, so they're going to back off.
Yeah, they're not going to get too greedy. Meanwhile, Lycan was able to deny this tower mid, so Old Chicken won't be getting the nice gold boost from that. Now, Old Chicken going to be in some trouble, gets stunned up. Can he spin away from this? He's going to sit there. He's going to take it. Lycan gets the kill. Up top, we've got more and more blood spilling out. It looks like Fan wants to go in for something. They get the stomp here. They will get the kill onto the Dazzle. They're looking for more, but, I mean, they just clean up. Down bottom, there's going to be the Lycan chasing down Fenrir. There's not a whole lot Fenrir can do. A tiny little maiden up against wolves. Not going to be the most effective. She does have her dance. Can she freezing field this one out? She does. She goes in for the ulti. Now, Sylar trapped underneath. He goes down. Ice could be in trouble as well. The Ravage comes out, connects on the two, but they're underneath the tier 1 tower, burning, just taking too much damage. The negative urn comes through and he will end up going down. CTY zipping all the way through. There's a blink away. Slaughter's alive for now. They're looking for the kill on the Crystal Maiden, but she's able to get out.
All right, so hindsight's 20/20, but really shouldn't have gone for that kill.
That was a little deep.
Ice is going to come in with a clap. CTY does have a little bit of mana left, so they should be fine. Here comes that big Earth Splitter. Not so big as it misses everything. Ice does have Crush relatively soon. He's regenerating the mana thanks to that range drops, but it's not going to be enough. It looks like Old Chicken is going to force a zip from CTY. So the second reason they shouldn't have gone for the dive, apart from so deep, they got the kill on the Juggernaut, and they just saw Sven teleporting top, right, to go for a dire kill. He was right next to the Roshan. I really thought he should have just ran it into the Roshan and essentially got a free Aegis. But instead he went for the Crystal Maiden kill, which he didn't get. Cost the team to lose a lot more.
I mean, Crystal Maiden doing really well here. Fenrir is 206 on this little lady. She is doing really well in terms of net worth, matching up with the offlane Tidehunter. And, you know, Crystal Maiden rarely gets the opportunity to look at these big items, but she's got Urn, she's got her Tranquils, she's got Magic Wand as well as a stack of wards. Does she go for something like a Force or a Glimmer or the luxury of a BKB? What's she looking at?
I really like Ghost Scepter in this game, considering that Storm, if he goes on you, I mean, he's quote-unquote an intelligence hero, but a lot of his damage comes in from those overload charges, so you can protect yourself that way. Force Staff is always pretty good, but can't really Force Staff an ally when they're being, focused by Storm. Storm doesn't really mind it too much. So I'm looking at Ghost, I'm looking at Force Staff. Glimmer's also not bad, although you imagine Lycan is working towards the Necro Book, so the invisibility aspect of the item is going to get somewhat nullified. I'm leaning on Ghost if I'm in Fenrir's position. I do like how you said the Triangle Urn and Magic Wand are big items.
I mean,
they're really not, but for Crystal Maiden it really is, right?
For a Crystal Maiden at 16 minutes, I mean, usually you see a Crystal Maiden with, like,
Oh, yeah.
brown boots, maybe a ring of regen, and, like, a ward. I mean, she's doing really, really well. Again, 206. Those gold bounties are adding up. She's also level 8. So she's definitely getting what she needs to out of the lane, sticking around with the Sven. She's only going to have more and more of an impact as she starts grouping up with the Juggernaut, grouping up with the Sven, and looking for these bigger fights.
Yeah, I'm glad that you pointed out the level 8, because you talked about the item, and that's definitely a big aspect of his mid-game play, but I think the level down the line is going to contribute a lot more. As soon as you get that level 2 ultimate, suddenly, I mean, a lot of times you miss, your Nova Blasts in your ultimate, but the attack speed slow, the movement slow is going to be a big deal. With that said, though, there is a Ravage, there is the Storm, so I don't think he's going to get too many big ultimates down the line, but, if you're in those trees, like he was earlier, and make it happen. Looks like the Roshan is happening, and this is what we expect from VG Gaming. They could clear it so fast. The Spirit might come in and try to clap and delay this.
They get this done.
Yeah, but there's no one really coming in to steal the Aegis. Ice might think about it. He's okay. Oh, he comes in a little bit too late. He does get the crush off, and he's dead.
Yeah, that is a bit unfortunate. On the backlands, we do have the Stormhammer coming up from the Sven. Sven's God Strength up, but it might not be enough to live here. Fenrir goes in on the cliff. She's dancing. There's going to be a Ravage to cancel that out, but now Fan in some serious trouble. The Earth Splitter holding everyone in place, but it's not going to be enough. There's just no damage. Fenrir trying to juke for his life, but will end up getting munched on by the Storm Spirit on the backlands. It's going to be a TP out from the Titan. And, well, everyone else is just dead or booking it. We've got Old Chicken as the lone survivor sitting here, has the Omni at the ready, but with no team, does not want to initiate for that. VG just went in, they got the Roche, they got everything they wanted off of that. Was that EHOME being overconfident, or was that just fantastic play by the Dire?
I mean, that's one of those situations where you look at Ice. If he was ahead, maybe by half a second, you say he's a genius, but since he wasn't, you could say that he made a questionable play. I think it's a calculated risk they took, but high risk, high reward, and unfortunately for EHOME, it's VG Gaming that got the high reward. Not only do they get the momentum right back into the direction, they're starting to build up this Lycan. Lycan to me is a very timing dependent hero, at least for the first 25 minutes of the game, and hitting those strides, getting the Roshan, getting those Necro Books. As soon as he has Necro 2 and 3, we're gonna start these outer towers really gonna go down. The only limitation that VG Gaming have right now is the cooldown on the Ravages. They really can't go for a full frontal push without the Ravage, which is going to be down for 70 more seconds. So they'll wait for that. But apart from that, I think VG Gaming is hitting one of their big peaks in this game.
So that begs the question, if it's going to come down to Lycan just starting to be a pushing machine, can EHOME hold from high ground? Oh, they smoke, but it immediately gets popped. CTY in the vicinity. He's got that Invis rune, but no one wants to tango. They're going to wrap around. We're going to see if CTY wants to go for picks. They've got the sentry here. They go in for the crush. He's punished up. Can they keep him locked down long enough so he can't zip away? That's going to be the question. They go in with the Stormhammer. They've got that pop on the Aegis. Can they get him down a second time? Crush going to be online. They do have that. Okay, they're going through. Goodbye, Storm Spirit. That is a huge bounty. 400 gold going straight into the Juggernaut's jaws. They're going for more. Burning, taking that amp damage. They get the bash right there. There's going to be a crush. Burning pops as well. Elder Titan getting the kill off of that. And the rest of VT looks like they're booking it out. They shapeshift the Lycan just to be sure to get out safely. The Wolf will end up falling to the Sven. So at least he gets some gold off of that. But overall, VT, was that just them crumbling at the seams?
That's CTY being CTY. He's very aggressive as a player and sometimes over-aggressive. Normally, you pop the smoke, you're like, alright, I got what I need, let's get out of here, because they know I'm here. But he, despite popping the smoke, went for a solo kill, so just CTY being CTY. And I don't mean that in kind of a negative fashion. He's a very aggressive player, and he normally snowballs off of that aggression, but he did get punished for that. And it's actually a pretty big loss. I mean, they got, the Aegis killed, and as well as a Venge pick. And I mean, just getting that big victory previously, a lot of the momentum is gone.
Alright, so speaking of momentum here, Sven's starting to come online in terms of net worth. He's almost matching up with that Lycan. He's got himself his Echo Saber and 2,000 more gold. Now are we going to see the Blink or prioritizing something like a BKB?
I think both is great. It really comes down to how he feels that this game is going to progress. Because if you look at the way that Vici Gaming fights, they really need to get off a certain key spell. For example, Shapeshift is one of those key spells, Ravage in the middle of everybody, or End Storm getting off his, kind of incremental damage outputs. But if you could jump onto the Slaughter or jump on the Storm, you probably won't kill them because they have Dazzle protection as well as Avenge, but just forcing them out of the fight and giving your team a 4v5 is already enough. And Blink Dagger really helps you with that. With that said though, BKB is the Tidehunter counter, so I think both items are exceptional in this game. It will just come down to what he and his team feels like he needs.
Alright, we've got a big smoke rotation up from EHOME, but I mean, they're really not going to catch out anything. Everyone else on Vici is over here ripping apart this tier 1 tower, and it's little increments like this, little things that Sylar picks off. Now he goes in with the Necro Books. There's going to be a sizable push in the tier 2 as well, so that little gateway of leaving your tier 1 unprotected may end up meaning damage in your tier 3s.
Yeah, I mean, EHOME thought about trading for like a second and then they realized, okay, we cannot trade against Tidehunter. Trade against the Lycan. The Clap's gonna hit on everybody.
Yeah, that was a nice little stomp there. And now ROTK, again, does have that Ravage at the ready. Looks like the tower will end up going down. Lycan gets the kill with this Necro army. And now there's gonna be a blink in. Fan going very aggressively here. I'm not quite sure he's got the balls to back it up. It's gonna be a...
Chicken. Coming from the side. He's got his Battle Fury finish, by the way. It's, haven't talked about him too much, but he's been farming, trucking along.
Absolutely. In terms of overall net worth, again, matching up with the Sven, but Lycan, he'll taking the big cake on this one. He's got those Necro 3s as well as the Vlads and the Treads, and what is he going for next here? Like a BKB? Does he look for something super greedy?
Lycan?
Yeah.
I think AC is probably the best item in this particular game. You're looking at a lot of physical damage coming from the side of EHOME. You're looking at minus armor from the Slaughter, and more importantly, the aura down the line from Elder Titan will remove all your base armor, so giving yourself as well as your teammate a ton of armor will be extremely helpful. He could go for a BKB, that's kind of a catch-all, but I personally would like to see a AC.
Alright, we've got a big rotation here. EHOME looking for some pickups up top. You've got Storm Bait sitting out. The real Storm will be zipping away. No one can catch up to him on the backlines. I'm not quite sure if they know that HYM is still sitting here in the trees, but either way, some sizable push out from EHOME, at least clearing out this lane, making sure that Lycan's not able to go in with his buddies and push onto the tier 3s anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think the game is going to go into a high ground situation anytime soon, although it can for Vici Gaming because they push so fast. I remember earlier you were asking, does EHOME have the capable high ground hold? And the answer is yes. You have the Elder Titan that's going to give you, so much difficulty to Vici Gaming if they're trying to push high ground. You miss that once, you get clapped, and suddenly the team fight could be initiated by EHOME.
Oh, they're going in. They get the zip onto Ice. No time for him to react. He wants to go through. There's a Ravage as well, locking everyone in place. Fan, he's sitting there with all he's worth. He's got the God Strength, but I don't know if it's enough. Crystal Maiden, she's dancing. She's getting a really nice ult off. The Tidehunter doesn't end up falling. Fan, he's still alive. He's got the armlet. There's a spin coming through. They get the kill on the Lycan. Juggernaut, what a hero here. He's still going through. No Omni at the ready, but Lanham, he wants to get more. He's got that natural order just ripping apart HYM stats. It looks like Fan will be going in. One click from the Juggernaut. Takes down everyone. They're going to lose the Slaughter, but they get 3 in return. Definitely worthwhile for EHOME.
As soon as I saw the Ravage come in as well as the Mac 2 backup, I thought Vici Gaming was going to win that fight. Unfortunately, Dazzle grazed himself instead of... again, not his fault, because there was a lot of stuff happening in that team fight. Maybe he thought he was going to die, but if he grazed the Lycan or the Storm, that would have been a fairly different fight.
Oh, down bottom. Burning in some trouble, gets crushed up. They rotate in the Sven as well. 2 hits was all it took on top of that Stormhammer to rip him apart. Man, this Armlet Sven is doing some serious damage. He's now picked up that Mithril Hammer, so it will be a BKB coming out next.
And Blink, he said, I'll just get both.
Yeah, I mean, he is just hella farmed right now, just skyrocketing to the top of the net worth chart, knocking Sylar back down to 3rd as Juggernaut and Sven are both doing exceptionally, and this is Juggernaut's peak time, 25-35 minutes, but Sven's going to continue to scale up late. How do Vici put the brakes on the Sven?
their only way to not lose this game right now is to get the next Roshan. Because if they don't get it, let's say if it ends up on Sven or the Juggernaut, then they're going to just get run over in the next push. Because they don't have enough damage to kill the Sven twice, Ravage or not. So, especially now with the BKB coming online. That's Vici staying in the game. Like, that's them by no way winning the game. So, that's their priority for the next 5 minutes. Can they get the Roshan? And, if you do get the Aegis, you kind of just have to go for the long run now, because I don't think you're beating them anytime soon. Even though the Go Graph does say a 2,000 goalie for EHOME, they have, like you said, they're hitting their peak, and their peak is so much stronger than Vici Gaming. I talked about how EHOME's lineup is very greedy. They have gotten away with that greed. In fact, they have a lot of items on essentially everybody, right? You talked about Sven being really big, Crystal Maiden having the necessary item. Crystal Maiden's getting a mech in 25 minutes. Okay. It's not something you see often.
I like it a lot. I mean, Crystal Maiden, not really the first hero that comes to mind when you think mech carrier, but oh, there's gonna be something going down here. We've got a spin. Old Chicken, can he get away? He is just going all out here. He's TPing through. He will be able to get out as Burning just isn't able to go through. They've got nothing that goes through that magic immunity. How did Vici prevent that? Do you build up like an Orchid on the Storm, which he already has, but didn't get it off? Like, it just seems like Juggernaut can do that again and again and again. He doesn't need vision. He doesn't need any backup. Just go through if things get tough. Spin TP.
Well, they do have the swap, which I think there was a little bit of miscommunication. Because basically Burning swapped the Storm away to get closer and then get the stun off. So maybe that actually interrupted the Orchid timing. They definitely should have, like, with what they have right now, Orchid and the swap, that's already enough to get the kill. I think that was just kind of a misexecution from Vici Gaming. And every little bit of misexecution will cost them a bit, right? Because they are behind. I talked about how Roshan is the key right now, and EHOME is congregating around the area. They have a ton of wards. If you look at Radiant Vision, like, they see absolutely everything. The smoke is the only thing that's keeping them intact, and here we go. They're thinking about fighting here, but I do believe the Observer spotted out the ultimate from Dazzle.
Alright, we've got Fan here. He's war card up. Everyone's speedy. Everyone's got the armor. It looks like the CTY smoke will end up popping. He's looking for something. Immediate zip away. There's going to be the Orchid there just to make sure there's no follow-up. So it looks like Vici, like, they went in acting all tough, but now that it actually comes down to fighting, they're spooked.
Yeah. Ideally, for Vici Gaming, you have, like, the Lycan split pushing mid or top at this point, but they're just so afraid. They need to really win the next fight to, again, stay in the game. So you can't really... thinking about jumping in. Oh,
nice crush there. They locked down CTY. Oh my god. That God Strength is just yucky. Now they're going to go straight into the Roche Pit. We'll see if Vici wants to contest this again. They do still have that Lycan. He is still able to put out a lot of damage. Want to go through, munching away the healing ward. And they bring in the Wolf, but gets slapped down by the Roshan. Too many buddies in the pit. And all of Vici waiting up here on the cliff looking for something. The Roshan is melting very quickly with the blink, the Ravage, everything's going to hell. It looks like the Dire end up getting the H's. They go through, they get the Roshan, they get the pick. There's going to be 2 lives on the Lycan. Looks like there's going to be a dance up by Fenrir. They're looking for something. RTK, he's getting low. Can he live? No, he falls. There's going to be a stomp here, locking the Lycan in place. They get his first life. Can they get his second? Everyone in EHOME is still alive. The Sven's got a fraction of his health. Old Chicken comes on through, but they bring in the Storm. He's going in, he's zipping. They will get down the Slaughter Sylar. He's still up, he's still fighting. He gets the grave. Looks like Fan may end up falling. The armlet can only keep him alive for so long. He gets 4-stepped away. He's alive. Crystal Maiden playing like a champ there now on the backline. CTY will go through, will deny himself with that Bloodstone. But what a crazy fight. That was 2 for 6 on the side of EHOME.
As bad as it was for Vici Gaming, the Aegis is not on the Sven. And I think that gives them that ray of hope. Unfortunately, against CTY getting caught up at the beginning of the fight. Big play here from ROTK. I thought he's just gonna steal the Aegis for himself, but even better, Lycan ran in and stole it. Unfortunately, you do see that they lack so much damage. I mean, Crystal Maiden at this point is a threat by herself. So, again, it ain't looking great for Vici Gaming, but it ain't GG yet. So they're clinging to like their 5% chance of victory, and 5% is greater than 0. So.
Absolutely. I mean, that was just such a flawless fight. But like you mentioned, small things like the Sven not getting Aegis, like everyone on the Dire getting a little bit of Roshan gold, will pump them up just a little bit, making sure that lead doesn't get too monumental. I mean, just looking at overall net worth, it's going to be about 6,000 in favor of EHOME, which is nothing to laugh at, but it's also not insurmountable. One good team fight, 5 minutes of lane pushing, and you're right back down to even.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think they will find that one good team fight unless EHOME makes some big mistakes. If you look at the items that are coming out, it's BKB on Juggernaut, BKB on Slaughter, I imagine that's coming next, and of course we talked about the BKB on Sven, right? Vici, if they're winning a team fight, they need to hit like 3 or 4 man Ravages. I just don't think that's going to happen. Granted, EHOME could just react a little bit slowly and not press those BKBs. Even if you hit a 3-4 man Ravage, what's your damage to follow up? Lycan is hitting okay, Storm is doing a bit, but you're not looking at, for example, a Crystal Maiden that could dish out some damage. Like, what is the damage output for Vici right now in the next 10 minutes? I just don't see anybody that could dish out damage, even if you hit a 5-man Ravage.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Vici find a really nice pickup, if they go through as a group and find someone on their own, they absolutely have the damage to get him down, but the problem is in these big team fights, there's just too many targets to deal with. The Orchid on the Storm can only connect onto one hero, Lycan can only focus down one hero at a time. I mean, there's just so much to work with on the side of EHOME. I mean, your Juggernaut puts out a ton of damage, your Slardar is fantastic at getting out that control, going in, keeping everyone stuck up, and now you've got the Sven, who's really starting to come online as well, picking up that Hyperstone for the Assault Cuirass. It's gonna get ugly real fast if Fiji don't start getting these really successful picks.
Yeah, I think it's a better question to start asking is how good Vici is holding their own high ground. And I'm not sure, because all EHOME needs to do is to send the Sven up front and just start hitting the building. And technically Bernie could swap him in, and they could kind of just group up on them with the Ravage backing up. So maybe Vici Gaming could hold their high ground. In fact, instead of holding high ground, they're just threatening to push the enemy high ground. I don't think they're really committing for this push. They're going to just force a couple of TP back. As I say that, though, they're going right in. They're swapping up. They're going to go on old chicken. Unfortunately, it's Burning that's going to be going down the clap, really helping you out. Mech's going to come in here. Burning pops a magic wand. Looks like he'd be able to walk it out here. Old chicken taking a ton of damage. Is he lagging? He just kind of stood there and tanked everything.
I think he popped his BKB and thought it would do a hell of a lot more than it did. Now we got the God Strength coming out. This BKB is abundant. We got the Armlet as well. So Sven kind of running around split target syndrome, unsure if he wants to initiate or defend or farm. And in the end, it costs him a BKB charge. It cost the Juggernaut his life. So EHOME.
That's huge.
Yeah, they just weren't expecting that to come all at once. Fiji, huge strides there. They still have the Ravage on the Tidehunter if they want to continue to push. They've got 30 seconds till the Necros on the Lycan, but they've still got the Wolves. They've got everything they need to go in and get another successful damage onto the tier 3.
Now, Juggernaut does have buyback, so that's maybe they're counting on Vici just making another big deep dive and then not counting that Juggernaut can be back. Juggernaut does have the Omni Slash available as well. Vici Gaming now working in a tower. Tower's going down pretty fast.
Oh!
Back in, they're going to focus on Fenrir. Fenrir taking a ton of damage. Ravage. Maybe about happening. It will happen right here. Fenrir taking a lot, but still very tanky thanks to the item output. Here comes the buyback from the Juggernaut. They're going to focus on CTY. Crystal Maiden's going to get zapped down here. RTK popping in the mech for the second time in the fight, but big damage output from Fan in the background. They're going to focus here on the him, and H-Rhyme's dead. So the buyback did really cost them, and RTK is going to get picked off as well. Granted, you did get a tier 3, you did force out a couple of buybacks, and honestly, they're not going to lose too much of their own because the fight did happen on the Radiant base, and when EHOME is going to Dire base, I think the respawn time is short enough that they come back and start reinforcing.
Yeah, I mean, the gold might have not been too costly, but the XP swing is huge. I mean, EHOME, they just clean up there, looking at overall XP that will bump it back up into their favor. And, the gold is looking pretty good, too. It's such a tense game, because like you mentioned, it's going to come down to who can push faster, who can defend their high ground. And in this case, EHOME, they found a window. They want to continue to go in. The Lycan's up, which is pretty spooky. The Storm Spirit will be up in 2 seconds. Can EHOME mount any sort of offense here, or do they have to kind of back off and wait for the next big push from Fiji?
Ravage is down, so in theory they could have, but I think they're going to just take a safer approach. The scenario I painted where, EHOME just want to fight in their base, by the time they go to the Dire side, the respawn time will be short enough for Vici to come back. Vici, though, because they have the Lycan, they could win a fight in their own base and just run across the map. And in theory, they could get a rack, so... Vici Gaming, despite the fact they're down by 13 killed and quite a bit of experience, like you pointed out, they're just one short pickoff, one quick pickoff away from a Rex, like we just saw on the bottom. In fact, I think they could have got the Rex if they just push a little bit kind of safer. But the fact that EHOME had buyback at Juggernaut was unfortunate for them. So I don't think Vici is out of this game, even though personally I already gave up hope on them like 5 minutes ago, but... I saw that in Burning, I was like, wow, he's going pretty deep. But, we know what's best, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head here. EHOME, they can fight like nobody's business, but can they turn that fight? Can they turn those pickoffs into objectives? Not as easily as VG can. The second VG get any sort of window of opportunity, like in Pop's Wolves, Pop's Necrobook, and he's at the tier 3s in like under 30 seconds, no matter where he is on the map.
Right. I think they could get the Roshan if they get the kill, EHOME. But, you know, they probably can't get a Rex unless they kill like 3 or 4 heroes.
Looks like everyone's gonna group up. They're looking for something here. Crystal Maiden, no smoke, Elder Titan. He's holding onto a Gem of Truth side. Has to be a bit careful not to drop that. I mean, he's only died once. Good God. Elder Titan is 4-1 and 14. Lanham, this is such a comfort hero for him. He's played it twice tonight already in this DPL series so far, so we'll see if it starts getting banned out just for Lanham, because he's just so freaking good on Titan support.
They're first phasing picking him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if it goes to second phase, the enemy team will ban it out. But most teams are not really willing to take it out in the first phase, because then you're letting through some of the like truly OP heroes. And then Elder Titan is not dying because he's got the Force Staff and the Ghost Scepter. It's just a lot of defensive item. And the reason that EHOME as well as Vici for the most part is grouping up is they recognize that Roshan is coming up in a couple of minutes. So in the minute previous to that, it's all about controlling the map around this area. Ideally, you want the bottom and the mid wave to be kind of pushing in if you're EHOME, and conversely, if you're Vici, you want those waves to be pushing out. So here comes a scan, kind of on top of the Roshan pit.
Yeah, they do scout out the Radiant are poking around behind the pit, so that's going to be the cue for VG to back off. Either they smoke up and go aggro, or they wait for a high ground push. We're going to see what's happening here as the Storm Spirit zipping on around. There is going to be a smoke, only leaving Sylar to reveal himself on the backlines. You've got FN sitting there, going to get munched on by wolves, but looks like he will be able to back off safely. I don't think they know that Ice Ice is waiting, or Ice rather, is waiting in the trees looking for the jump.
Central Ward will scout out the wolf that is scouting them, and I think both teams will kind of back off. The Radiant needs to deal with that wave that's slightly pushing up top. And I think that's what EVC is waiting for. Oh, here comes Initiation. It's going to go on HYM, but probably not the target. In fact, T1 wants to jump back in. I don't think they can actually follow up on that.
What a bloody massacre
Omni-Slash?
going down on the back lines. Yeah, Omni-Slash coming through, not going to do a whole lot of damage. Split him on a bunch of targets going in. The Zip, Old Chicken pops the BKB. He can only live for so long. The raw damage might be too much, but FN goes in. There's going to be a nice Stormhammer onto CTY. He's almost out of mana. He can only zip for so far. Juggernaut did end up falling there after his Omni-Slash was used. Another BKB charge results in his death. There's going to be a nice stomp onto RTK, buying some time. He's got the Ravage in the back lines. There's going to be everything going down here. There's a buyback, or rather no buyback on the Juggernaut. FN just running back on through. You've got another zip in from CTY if he wants to go. A nice Stormhammer will stun up Burning, but he's going to be going... What? He's just going back on through. Ice gets an amazing charge, and there's going to be a Ravage. Okay. That was awesome. Earth Splitter's happening. It went through. Elder Titan turns that fight and turns it into a wipe.
I mean,
what?
Okay, he turned around and like cleaved everybody. I was like, okay, he's probably going to die, but he's doing a lot of damage, and suddenly... Again, Lanham with that Elder Titan pick, huge ultimate down the line. He's level 16, by the way. And he's just clapping and hitting everybody. That should have been a Sven kill after the Juggernaut. That should have been a tier 1 and most likely tier 2 because they got the Lycanthrope. But suddenly it's just the other way around. In fact, it is Sven that is threatening Araxis. The quickest one to respawn is the Venge and Dazzle, and they're not holding anything. So unless we see some buybacks, that's going to be Araxis.
How did the Sven live there? Like, he's back up to full health, but that's just absurd. He should have gone down. And Fiji, they've got to be a little bit tilted from this. They've got buyback on everyone that's dead, but it looks like they are just willing to sack some racks here. Their base is melting quicker than they'd like. There's going to be a blink in, very aggressive here from Ice, just being that frontliner, making sure no one wants to jump. So 2 lanes of racks going to be going on through 1.5 as the 2 abandon the struggle. I like this restraint from EHOME. They're not going to go into deep gush. Might be forced out by RTK. They may have to lose their CM, but the stomp is at the ready if they need it. Going to be going back on through. RTK will be stunned up. There's going to be a zip in from CTY looking for something here. Even if it's only a Crystal Maiden, they go and they get the zip. There's going to be a crush though. Ice with a new BKB showing that one off. He's TPing out. They're not... Oh, they are going to swap him back out. So, okay, he's going to be slithering away for his life. The BKB can only last for so long. He goes in, another nice crush, but the magic missile's there. Ice will end up falling. So they drop the CM, they drop the Slardar. And now there's going to be a return push coming up from VG. They're looking for the Roche.
Yeah. A nice added bit of synergy is between Storm and Lycan. The Lycan is going to be able to feed Aegis to the Storm, which is probably the best Aegis holder in the game. It's gonna get the Aegis. The cheese now goes to the side of
Lycan.
the Lycan. So again, it's looking terribly bad for Vici Gaming, but if they could get one good fight, maybe they could get a bottom racks. But given the fact that they lost the bottom racks themselves, the wave is going to constantly pressure in, and we're starting to look into a later stage of the game where looks like we're going to see a backdoor in the tower. This is pretty desperate stuff here coming out from Vici, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, they're trying here. They're gonna munch through the tier 1. They could push in for the tier 2 if they'd like to, but again, might show some restraint here. Just gonna be cleaning up Jug illusions and backing on off. So Vici, they're kind of backed into a corner. If we look at the overall net worth, it's now gonna be about 14,000 in favor of EHOME. If Vici have one last piece of hope, what is it?
It's the refresher orb on Tidehunter. 2 Ravages could kind of change the tide of the fight, no pun intended. The problem is, again, is like, okay, you have 2 Ravage, that's good. Where is the damage? Lycan was giving you quite a bit now that with the AC and the BKB online. Storm Spirit, I mean, Storm technically is supposed to give you a ton of damage, but he's looking to have, like, you know, no Bloodstone charges by the end of the game, so it's just really Lycan that's putting his entire team on his shoulder, and you know, 2 Ravages is a lot of time for him to right-click, but I'm not sure whether that's enough.
Oh, Blink Crush here onto Burning. Can they lock him down? Looks like there's going to be no swaps, no stuns coming out in this next fight. The Wolf going to be munching onto Ice, Ice, Ice. He's going to be getting some juicy little money there with this Midas, and everyone from Vici has to back off. They can't fight this without their Venge.
When did Ice 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 pick up the Midas? Did he get
That
it
was a while ago.
before the BKB, after the Blink?
Yes. I want to say yes.
I'm just always personally a little bit curious about off-laners that get at Midas, but not right away.
I mean, I think in this game, he's got all the room in the world, because he's not really relied on for damage, he's not really relied on for tank. I mean, Sven can live up through everything with that armlet like we've seen, and yeah, he's a great initiator, but he's got the room to go for that Midas, so just picking up some more luxury items, because his timings aren't what's crucial for EHOME.
Apart from the Blink, which he did get in fairly early in the game. Yeah, you know, as this game goes later and later, that Midas is gonna aid him. I think a lot of Slaughter in his scenario would have gone for like a Force Staff, given the fact that it's just a fairly standard item buildup that's gives you a bit more int, which is fairly relevant for Slaughter. But yeah, the Midas has definitely paid off.
Alright, so we've got Juggernaut here, super big boy, gonna be 3rd on the net worth chart. He's picked up a Eye of Scotty. When I saw him picking up that ultimate orb, I was like, oh yeah, Manta, no problem, but he picks up the Manta and then an Eye of Scotty. He's super rich. What does he go for next?
I'm not a big fan of Scotty in this game. Okay, so look at his armor, right? It's 20 base armor. As long as he stands next to the other Titan, he has 0 base armor. And Scotty doesn't help you with that. Scotty just gives you more stats, which adds to your base armor, not plus armor. So, I don't know. I think evasion would have been a little bit nicer to help.
Like a butterfly?
Yeah.
Oh, going through. CTY gets the jump here. Can they get the kill? Locking him down. There's going to be a 4-staff away. Another Ravage, 2 of them. ROTK showing off that refresher. Now CTY in some trouble, getting slashed down. There's not much he can do. There's going to be an Omni pouncing every which way. Old Chicken now left to fight for himself. There's going to be a Ghost Scepter out. Lanham trying to come away with his life. They do end up popping the Aegis here on the Storm Spirit. He's going to come back full health, full mana. There's going to be a Shallow Grave with the Sylar. He's still fighting. He's still up. Old Chicken, he's still got a health pool. What's going on here as Lanham may end up going down. Remember, he's holding onto the gem. Doesn't want to drop that. He will get himself 4-staff down to the low ground of the back lads. Lanham does end up dropping. There's a gem on the deck. They're looking for more here. A CTY gonna be fighting it out here. He is gonna be going through. He's very, very low mana. Can't zip too far. He gets bashed up. Oh, can he get out here? He will end up going for the deny. The gem is back on the deck as they only drop the Elder Titan in that whole engage. They get down the Tidehunter. They get down the Storm Spirit and Aegis. Sven did have to go through and buy back, which is pretty big, but in the end, not a whole lot lost there, and there's gonna be some sizable push coming out from EHOME.
That's GG. Vici Gaming used Aegis, Cheese, 2 Ravages, and they lost the fight. Like, there's nothing left. Like, even if everyone buy back right now, in fact, Storm is gonna buy back. That's
They're going Hail Mary.
Run away. Oh, Chicken's zipping away. Here comes the Lycan, looking hard, but here comes another crush. Sven's back in the fight. He's right clicking on the Slaughter. Sorry, Sylar, not Slaughter. Sylar is
same difference.
Gonna force everyone away. I mean, they made up defend the basis right now, but it's looking like a Pyrrhic victory because the bigger war is being won by EHOME.
Yeah, I mean, the tier 4s are up. They don't get mega'd, but that was such an expensive hold. It seems like EHOME, they've got all the time in the world. They are not on a timer whatsoever. The Sven, he's just gonna get bigger. He can go for whatever luxury items he wants. Old Chicken here will be sitting on a decent chunk of pennies. Has that buyback if needed, so they can just kind of keep sieging high ground. The Lycan can only do so much in terms of counter push.
Yeah, Lycan is starting to feel the sadness that is a melee carry. Despite how fast he runs, he's getting kited around by multiple Force Staffs, as well as Ghost Scepters, and ain't looking great. There's how many Force Staff on the team? 2 Force Staffs? Yeah. Both on the supports. The supports both have Ghost Scepters. There's a mech on the CM. I mean, last team fight, we saw the 2 Ravages, but again, where is the damage?
I mean, Ravage is still on cooldown for about 15 more seconds, and that Refresher's on cooldown for a hell of a lot longer than that. They go in. Fan showing no mercy. Sylar,
Jeez.
no chance to react. He's got no buyback, 100 seconds dead on the Lycan, and that's going to be the big source of counter push. So it's just up to the Storm, just up to, I guess, a Tidehunter to really hold this back, and that is a tall order.
Yeah. Oh, there's a Ravage.
There's one.
And then there's no damage.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravage is neat. They get the control, but my god, Elder Titan, that is absurd here. A hero that was nerfed into the ground for so long is being brought back by Lanham. This kid's crazy here, and it is going to be the GG called out in favor of EHOME, but this is only game 1 of a best of 2 series. What are you hoping that VG can change up to have a more successful game next time?
Vici needs to play a little bit tighter. They remember they got the lead where they, in the first Roshan fight, they got the Roche Aegis, and then they kind of threw it away with the... Wait, I'm confusing myself. The fight where Slaughter ran to the bottom and went for the CM kill. I feel like that was the big turning point of the game. They could have got the first Roshan in that if they didn't go for the dive. Instead, they went for the dive. They gave a ton of lead to EHOME. And like I said, EHOME has a very greedy lineup that could benefit from that lead. And, well, there's that. Also, I do want to say I completely mistaken by calling Juggernaut the Ascati not having base armor next to Elder Titan. They are on the same team.
Yeah,
so
I was unsure what you were getting at with that. I'm unsure if there was like mechanics I wasn't aware of, but
no, that was just me. It's like, wait, I recognized that. I was like 5 seconds later. I was like, wait, that's totally wrong. But you were going off in a team fight, so I didn't want to interrupt. So I do have to apologize to everyone for making that mistake.
We'll get to redeem ourselves next game, which is coming up in just a couple of minutes. Again, game 2 of this best of 2 between EHOME and VG. This is the English coverage of the Dota 2 Professional League. I'm Annie, that's Lumi. Stick around, quick break, and then we're on to the next.